Oops. Not supposed to see that. Bam, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. The Dark Angels Codex Supplement for 9th edition. I have been waiting for this book since 9th edition started because I am, at my heart, a Dark Angel. I've been collecting them and painting them basically since I got back into the hobby, when I first started back up into the hobby. So I am extremely excited for this. What we got with the index was super great, and it'll be super awesome to see how they expand upon it in its whole Codex supplement. The Blood Angels, the Space Wolves, they've all gotten, and even Death Watch have gotten some really cool Codex supplements to go along with their entry into the Vanilla Marines Codex. So I'm excited to see what Games Workshop has cooked up for us here with this one for the Dark Angels. So let's get into it and see what we've got. So again, it's the cover art is just gorgeous on this thing, and we're sitting here, and it's also pretty apropos since they've got him standing on top of a dead. It looks like it's a dead Nurgle Marine, so a dead what is it called? The Death Guard. So could be pretty fun to see that there, and pretty apropos since we came kind of hot on the heels of the Death Guard Codex here. So let's start getting into it, dig into it, and see what we've got going on for it. So again, it's a beautiful book. They've got some beautiful art. They've got some really cool background and stories to go along with it, which is awesome to read through. I'm not going to go through it and ruin it for you guys if you want to read through it, but it also goes through all the insignia and stuff like that you can put on it if you really want to go Codex adherent, although those of you who have seen my Raven Wing know that I'm not necessarily Codex adherent. I just kind of do what looks rad, and it seems to work well. But yeah, so we'll be going through this, and it'll be interesting to see what they've got here. So let's get through to the part of this that everyone is interested in seeing. Oh man, beautiful. I love seeing the beautiful paint jobs that they do for these, and the photography in these, and it's cool to see all the new Primaris like mixed in with it. So you've got you've got the Blade Guard along with Deathwing Knights, along with the Outriders, and a Redemptor painted up as the Deathwing Redemptor, which is pretty rad, going against some Chaos Space Marines. So yeah, awesome stuff. So let's get into the rules here, get into what they've got, what they've done for the chapter for the first Legion and the first chapter, in my heart at least, and see how they treat all of them. So going through all the different stuff, they got the usual things. So they've got talks about the Successor chapters here. How if you're a Dark Angel Successor chapter, then for the purpose of using Dark Angel's Detachment rules, you replace Dark Angel's keyword for the Detachment, and it also goes through all of the things that you're allowed to use, and such and so on. Nothing really new here for Successor chapters using their ability here. So they do have like all the the usual stuff that they have is kind of allowed what you're allowed to with all the other chapters. Going over the Combat Patrol, I did like the box. I think it's a cool box. I think it's got some really awesome things. I love Redemptors. I think they're so rad as a model to build and paint, and also they're pretty awesome on the table. So yeah, I was a big fan of this. Also, I think Inceptors are the sneaky good with Dark Angels, and we'll see in a little bit why I think they've gotten even sneakier gooder, sneakily gooder for the Dark Angels with this Codex going forward there. And of course, you have to have a chaplain. They had to be led by a chaplain. I know there was a lot of people talking about, I wish it was a different one, but you had to be led by a chaplain. You had to. It was, the skull-faced, dark-robed, menacing look of an interrogator chaplain or chaplain is very iconic for the Dark Angels. So they had to go with a chaplain leading the way here. And obviously intercessors are always good. So that's why I like that box. I think it's a really good box there. So let's go through the detachment abilities here. So Dark Angel's Detachment is one that only includes models from Dark Angel's keyword, excluding Agents of the Imperium online, as they keep saying. And note that such a detachment is also an Adeptus Astartes detachment as described in Codex Space Marines, and as such has all their detachment abilities there. So it basically gives them the shock assault and the bolter discipline and all of those different things, just making sure that they still count for it. So you can't be like, lawyer, they're a Dark Angels detachment, not a Space Marine detachment. It's like, no, they are both. So that's pretty cool. So going through here, it says Ravenwing units and Dark Angels detachments that do not already have the Jink ability gain the Jink ability. So now, there we go. Our bikes and our attack bikes and our outriders and all that fun stuff that's in the main codex now get the Jink ability. So our generalized Ravenwing units do get it. So I know there was, for a while there with the index, it didn't have that specific rule there. So you didn't have the ability on like the attack bikes and things like that. So now we get them with this, which I mean, it's not a super surprise, but it's good to see that it's there. And the same thing with Deathwing or Inner Circle. Dark Angels detachments already have the Inner Circle ability, gain the Inner Circle ability. So, our Terminator, our Deathwing Ancients and stuff like that, which didn't have it, now get it. So, which is pretty cool. That also come into effect, I guess, here in the Rites of Initiation, which we'll get to in a second here as I'm going through here. But then, if every unit in your army, except for blah, 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 has the Dark Angels keyword, then every unit in the Dark Angels detachment has the Combat Doctrines ability. Then every unit that has the Combat Doctrines ability gains the Sons of the Lion ability, which we'll get to in a second. We also have, if every unit in your army, except unaligned units, has the Dark Angels keyword, then Dark Angels Vanguard detachment that only contains models with the Deathwing and or Inner Circle keyword gains the first company ability. And the same thing they've got here for the same thing they've got going on there for Ravenwing. But also notice that it says except unaligned units, not accepting Agents of the Imperium. So if you do take the a Deathwing Vanguard detachment or a Ravenwing Outrider detachment, you can't take an Inquisitor along with that detachment and still get this ability. So yeah, you get the first company ability for the Deathwing, and you get the second company ability with the Ravenwing. And then your army can only include one Ravenwing captain and one Deathwing captain from the same chapter. So I think that doesn't seem... I think you're only allowed one chapter. You're only one. Oh no, you can have multiple captains, or you can only have one captain. Oh, one captain per detachment, but you can't have two Ravenwing captains. So you can't take two Outrider detachments and take two Ravenwing captains in there. You can only have one Ravenwing captain and one Deathwing captain, because it basically means that it's the captains of the first and second companies is what you're talking about there with their special rules. So you can only have one per army. Because again, like the same thing they talked about this when the original one is that Dark Angels still have access to, a captain on a bike. It does have access to, you can have the chapter master upgrade and stuff like that. You just can't have, you can't have Samael and a biker captain, a Ravenwing captain, I don't think, because I believe, we'll see in a second if he has the Ravenwing captain keyword, and if so, you can't have him there. So he'll have Ravenwing, he'll have captain. So you won't be able to take the two of them, because they just say if you do have them on there, it just makes it like you're in an alternate timeline or in a time when you've lost they've since passed or haven't gone in yet. Essentially, you're making your own timeline when you do that, but you can do it for gameplay mechanics. So. But let's go through the Sons of the Lion here. Units with this ability have the following abilities, which are described below: Speed of the Raven, Fire Discipline, and Implacable. So, Speed of the Raven, they also previewed this. While in the Devastator Doctrine is active for your army, add 3 inches to the move characteristic of Ravenwing models from your army, and Ravenwing units from your army are eligible to shoot with in a turn in which they advance. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack in a turn in which it advanced, the attack suffers the penalty incurred to the hit roll as if it were firing an assault weapon. So all the Ravenwing can just advance turn 1 and get an extra 3 inches to there. So you're looking at some serious movement that you've got going on there with a lot of these guys, which is pretty awesome. So just shooting up the board, really taking board control, especially if you go first, and just hedge the enemy into into their deployment while you get the rest of your army moving up to take the middle of the board. Board control for the Dark Angels, I think, is going to be super effective with this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see them being able to use this. Then you've got Fire Discipline. While the Tactical Doctrine is active for your army, infantry models from your army, excluding Deathwing models, can make attacks with rapid fire and assault weapons, excluding blast weapons, while within engagement range of enemy units, but must target an enemy unit that it is within engagement range of its own unit when they do so. In such circumstances, the model can target an enemy unit even if other friendly units are within engagement range of the same enemy unit. And while it is making such an attack, it has a ballistic skill characteristic of 5+. So you're hitting on 5s, but you can still shoot with them. So you can charge in with your intercessors, you can charge in with all your regular green wing, and still fire. Or you can be charged and still fire, which I think is pretty great. So you don't have to worry about people trying to tie up your army and tie up your units from being able to shoot and fire. You can just keep doing it, which is great. Which is super helpful, especially if, like, turn 1 you shoot up the board with your Raven Wing, hold the line there, then move in with your green wing, and then second turn, then move your Raven Wing around for more positioning and better board control, and then let the enemy engage with the green wing, and then turn 2 and 3, you can still pick to shoot with them even if they're engaged in combat, which is fun. And then you have Implacable. While the Assault Doctrine is active for your army, each time a Deathwing Infantry or Deathwing Dreadnought model in your army makes a melee attack against a character unit or a unit that contains any models with a wounds characteristic of 8 or more, you can reroll the wound roll. So that's pretty rad. So it's any unit that contains any models with a wounds characteristic of 8 or more. So it's basically any of the big boys or any characters, they can reroll the wound roll, which is, that's super awesome. Just straight up, just rerolling wound roll. So it's like super, you've got like super lieutenant on all your Deathwing during the Assault Doctrine. Which, when you drop them in there, they charge in, punch into like big knights or whatever, and you can keep re-rolling, which is great. And a lot of awesome stuff. I like that a lot, and I love the fact that they've got this spread out so that it's affecting different wings. So the middle one, the Fire Discipline, is infantry models, so it's not going to affect any of the Raven Wing because they're all bikers and such. And it excludes the Deathwing, so you can't have your Deathwing Terminators getting benefits from this. But then Implacable is only for the Deathwing, Speed of the Raven is only for the Raven Wing. I do like how they've shown the ability and shown how each of these different wings are so different and play differently, and they benefit them differently, which is kind of fun. And the fact that they've got all 3 in a detachment there means that you can play a mixed wing super effectively and take advantage of all of this, which is awesome. I love it a lot. Then you've got the first company and second company, which they've previewed previously, basically just saying Deathwing Terminator squads, Deathwing Terminator Squad, Deathwing Terminator Squad, Terminator Assault Squad, and Relic Terminator Squads in this detachment gain the objective secured ability as described in the Warhammer 40k rulebook. And if your Warlord is part of this detachment, the detachment's command benefits change to +3 command points. So giving you the ability to simply just run Terminators with OBSEC and with not having to pay for CP for the detachment, which is great. And same thing for the second company, except it's Outrider detachment with Raven Wing. And the bike squads and Outrider squads gain those abilities. So, interesting that the Blade Guard don't get the OBSEC, but the Outriders do. So, interesting. Don't know why. So then we've got Rites of Initiation. Rites of Initiation, when mustering your army, you can upgrade any of the following units, excluding named characters, in Dark Angels detachments of your army to become members of the Deathwing. So you've got Captain, Primaris Lieutenant, Dreadnought, Land Raider, Repulsor, Storm Raven, Gunship, and transport unit that can transport Terminator models. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe there's some from... I don't know which ones. I guess, maybe some from Forge World. Maybe there's some Forge World ones that can transport Terminators, because otherwise they named all the ones in the main book that can transport Terminators. So I guess maybe if you want to upgrade a transport from Forge World, you can do it, which would be kind of cool. A bone-colored Mastodon or something like that would be rad to see. So you can do that, and then each time you upgrade one of these units, it gains the Deathwing keyword, and because of this rule over here, they'll gain the ability of the Inner Circle. And power rating is increased as shown on the table on the right. So you pay points or you pay power depending upon which type of game you're playing, and you get the abilities there. So you can now have a captain That's going to be gaining the inner circle keyword or abilities there, so you can't wound them on, because spoiler alert, you still have the built-in transhuman physiology essentially going forward. So we'll go into that in a bit. And in a Crusade Force, it can only be upgraded when it becomes part of the Deathwing by using the ability when it is added to your order of battle, and only if this upgrade would not cause your total power level to go above it. So interesting stuff there. So yeah, I can see this being cool. Again, like they've shown here with the repulsor in the Deathwing there, which would be kind of cool. So I imagine this is like a Blade Guard veteran who's been inducted into the inner circle when he dies, but proved himself in battle. Gets interred in the Redemptor there, and still has that idea and still knows what he's doing there. So doesn't get the only wounds on one, but then again, he will get the ability during the Assault Doctrine to reroll wounds, which is pretty rad. So let's go into the stratagems. So already off the bat, I will tell you that there are some returning favorites, and one. I mean, there's probably some that are would be missing from what we thought, but I mean, I'm very happy with what we've got going on here. But there's one in particular, stratagem that is missing that I think is going to make a big difference in the way people are going to be playing them. So let's start off here. We've got Wrath of the Lion for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your command phase if a combat doctrine is active for your army. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a Dark Angels model from your army makes an attack with a weapon specified by the active combat doctrine, on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. This is cumulative with the bonus from the combat doctrines, from active combat doctrines. You can only use this stratagem once. So basically, turn 1, if you want to pop this, all of a sudden on wound rolls of a 6, all of your heavy weapons are going to be AP, an additional AP -2. So you're looking at, las cannons that are AP -5. You've got, a lot of the heavy weapons are going to be AP -5, to be honest. But you have like assault cannons now are going to be AP -3 on turn 1 on wounds of a 6, which is pretty rad. Same thing with heavy bolters are going to be AP -3 on wound rolls of 6, which is awesome for turn 1, especially now that they're 2 damage. Woo, yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. I think this is going to be rad. I think you're going to see a lot of people use it. I know it's only on wounds of 6, but it affects the entire army, which is awesome. So especially if you have, you want to use it for a certain thing, you want to get that first punch in, the alpha strike in, maybe pop it for your assault cannons and your heavy bolters, or maybe you want to do it turn 2 or turn 3, and you've got some massed bolter attacks because now your bolt rifles and your intercessors are going to be AP -3 on wounds of 6, which are pretty rad. You can do a lot of stuff with that. I like this a lot. For 2 CP, it's 2 CP, but it covers the entire army, which is awesome. I like that a lot. Then you have Intractable for 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your movement phase when a Dark Angels unit from your army is selected to fall back. If that army has the Inner Circle ability, you do not need to first roll 2d6 to see if you can fall back. It can automatically do so. And until the end of the phase, that unit is eligible to shoot. So again, we've got our Intractable fall back and shoot for 2 CP. I think it was it 2 CP always? It may have been 3 CP originally, but 2 CP, I'll take that any day of the week. That's awesome. I like that a lot. Fall back and shoot, and also have the Inner Circle be able to fall back without having to roll, because we'll get into that in a second. We have Deathwing Assault for 1 CP here. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a Deathwing unit from your army is selected to shoot. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, if it is set up on the battlefield this turn as a result of Teleport Homer or Teleport Strike, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So +1 to wound when you drop in the shooting phase, which is pretty rad. I know it's not an extra shooting an extra round of shooting like it used to be, but I still think getting +1 to wound when shooting is pretty rad. You're looking at wounding basic Marines with your mass storm bolters from Terminators dropping in on 3s, which makes a big difference. And you're wounding Death Guard, I guess, on 4s again as opposed to 5s with it. It also doesn't specify which type of weapon, so it's just shooting. So now your Cyclone missile launchers on the back of those Terminators are going to be wounding Knights on 3s instead of 4s. That's pretty rad. Wounding most anything on 2s, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I like that one a lot. I think it's a good one that'll be used a lot, especially if you're running Deathwing a lot, which you now have the ability to do, which is pretty cool. You've got Full Throttle here, which is 1 CP or 2 CP. It's dependent upon the size of the unit. Use the stratagem in your movement phase after a Raven Wing unit from your army advances. The unit immediately makes a normal move of up to 12 inches. but is not eligible to shoot with or declare a charge with this turn. If the unit contains 5 or fewer models, this stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it costs 2 CP. So again, I like this a lot. It allows us to reposition ourselves. This will be super effective, especially if you're going second and on turn 5 when you've got your when you're trying to jump on objectives to get the points for the last turn. Now the way things have changed, you could just shoot them up the board and get to a place where you need to, which is awesome. Yeah, I think that's going to be effective. I think it's going to be super effective. And also, since it's 5 or fewer models, you can have a large biker unit, and then they just get progressively shot down until there's 5 or fewer. Then on the 5th turn, when you can jump onto objective. Then we've got here 1 CP for Line Unbreakable. Use the stratagem in the start of the fight phase. Select 1 Dark Angels infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, that unit can only be selected to be targeted for melee attacks if the attacking model is within engagement range of it. Note that this means that enemy models that are not within engagement range but are within half an inch of a model from their own unit that is itself within half an inch of the Dark Angels infantry unit cannot target it with melee attacks this phase. So essentially, you're now going to be reducing it to just the first row of attackers. You don't get that second row of attackers, which is going to be super, super effective against like horde armies. So, Tyranid swarms, orcs, Gene Stealer cult, a lot of those ones where they kind of try to swarm you with a large number of attacks from a large number of models. You're now going to be limiting it to just that front row. And if you pull out like a straight line of Terminators or models that you have going forward there, you can really start to reduce the number of attacks that are going to be able to get back into your unit there. So I like that a lot. I think that's going to be super effective. It keeps you from getting bogged down or just getting overwhelmed with a number of attacks. Because I mean the bane of all Terminator units or the bane of Space Marines is often just mass numbers of attacks. So if they can pick up a mass number of attacks like orcs or Gene Stealer cult or Tyranids and stuff like that, and they just get a critical mass of attacks, this will prevent that from happening, keep it from dying unnecessarily, which I think is rad. We then have 1 CP for high speed focus. Use the stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When you allocate ranged attack to a Ravenwing vehicle model from your army. Until the start of your next turn, that model has a 4+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks. So a Ravenwing vehicle model. Interesting. So I guess they changed it now. It's no longer just Ravenwing. So the bikers, I don't think the bikers have it. Let me just double check on that because I think that would be interesting to see. Black Knights do not have vehicle. Yeah, so bikers are not going to be involved in this one. This is only for vehicles. So you've got your essentially your land speeders and your planes, and land speeders and the planes are going to have the vehicle that you can use it for. Or I guess storm speeders now you can have them with the new ones, which are pretty rad. But yeah, they're going to be only usable for the vehicles. So it's a little worse. That's a little bit of a nerf there, because it used to be fun to be able to just pop it turn 1 as you're getting shot at by if you go second on your bikers that you had up in the front row that you were getting ready to shoot up the board. So yeah, I think that'll be a little bit of a nerf, but I'm glad it's still there for the speeders and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting. Or the flyers even, because that was often like Dark Talons were often the first round pick choice of target for a lot of the enemies that would fight them when I was running my Dark Talon. So you can just use that, which is pretty rad. Then we have 2 CP here for no foe too great to subdue. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Deathwing Knights unit from your army is chosen to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that Deathwing Knights unit makes an attack with a Mace of Absolution against an enemy vehicle or monster unit, add 1 to that attack's wound roll and improve the armor penetration characteristic of the attack by 1. So now we just have straight up power fists. Non-unwieldy power fists. So we are going to be AP -3. We are going to be damage 3. Or Thunderhammers. I'm sorry. It's just straight up Thunderhammers without the unwieldy. So we've just got 3 damage. We've got AP -3, not unwieldy, and we are going to be adding 1 to the wound roll. So now they're going to be strength 8. So you're wounding knights on 3s. And you get to, if it's the Assault Doctrine and their Deathwing, they're going to get to reroll it. So you're going to be hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, re-rolling against knights from turn, at minimum 3, I guess, turn 3 on, if you want to get into the Assault Doctrine there, which is rad as hell for 2 CP, and it doesn't limit the size of the unit. So I guess it works better for bigger units that you can bring them in there, which is awesome. I like that a lot. I like that one a lot. I can see it getting a lot of use, because I think Deathwing Knights are going to be a strong unit that's just going to be... You're going to see a lot of Deathwing Knights and Dark Angels armies out there. Then you got Marked for Command. It's the same thing, Marked for Command, Paragon of the Chapter, and Honor by the Rock. All of these allow that. But it does specify here that the Ravenwing Huntsmaster and the Knight Masters can take this as well as the Sergeants. So it basically covers the fact that our Deathwing Knights and Ravenwing Knights don't have Sergeants. They have the Huntsmaster and the Knight Master. But you can still give them the Mastercrafted Weapon, Digital Weapons, Atonement, Bolts of Judgment, any of those ones. So, and each relic must be unique. So, but you can still give them for 1 CP to one of them if you want to. So, it'd be kind of cool to have a Mastercrafted Flail of the Unforgiven on a Knight Master there. And then Paragon of the Chapter allows a Dark Angels character. After nominated Dark Angels character model that is not a named character as your Warlord, generate 1 additional Warlord. You can give 2 Warlord traits to a non-named character, which is pretty rad. And then Honored of the Rock, use the stratagem after nominated model from a Dark Angels Successor chapter. It allows them to take Relic or, a character model from your army is drawn from the Dark Angels Successor chapter. Instead, give a special issue War Gear Relic. You can give it one of the relics from the Dark Angels, which is pretty rad. Then you've got Tactical Appraisal for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Dark Angels unit from your army within 6 inches of your Warlord. Then select 1 Combat Doctrine. Until the start of your next command phase, for the purposes of that unit, treat the Combat Doctrine as being active for your army instead of the active Combat Doctrine. You can only use this stratagem if every unit from your army has the Combat Doctrine's ability, excluding Servitors, Ancients Imperium, or unaligned units. So, you can just be like, boop, that Deathwing Knight unit, turn 2, is in the assault phase. And then you can do all the shenanigans I talked about. No foe too great to subdue, the +1 AP, or you're going to be +2 AP, I guess, if you pop that there. Also getting to reroll wounds. So now you're going to have the Mace of Absolution in the Assault Doctrine with no foe too great to subdue. Starting turn 2 if you want to, if within 6 inches of the Warlord there. In the command phase, you're looking at what? That's going to be Strength 8, AP -4, 3 damage. Oof. Yeah. Oof. Wounding on 3 damage. Wounding on 2s or wounding on 3s against knights. Re-rolling. Oh, yeah. I like that a lot. I think that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun to do. Or if you just want to pop a unit into the into whatever you want. It just makes it pretty fun to be able to use. Or I guess you could pop it onto like a bike unit on turn, like later turns. Just pop it onto the bike unit, and all of a sudden now they can just shoot off, and they can just shoot off as if it's the Devastator Doctrine and be able to advance and still shoot, which is pretty rad. So I like that. Then you have the Hunt. Use this stratagem at the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins. Select 1 Ravenwing unit from your army. That unit can make a normal move as if it were your movement phase, but must end that move more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. If both players have the units that can move before the first turn begins, the player who is taking the first turn moves their units first. If this unit contains 5 or fewer models, the stratagem costs 2 CP, otherwise it costs 3 CP. So kind of expensive, but it does give you the ability to get a Ravenwing unit into some serious contesting range. So you just pop them up there, just give it onto like an attack bike squad, and all of a sudden they're moving 12 inches. You can advance with them because this is before the first turn, and then the next turn you're going to have an additional, what is that, 17 inches, because you got the 14 base plus the 3 because it's Devastator Doctrine first turn. So yeah, you're looking at 14 plus 6, 20, 30, 37 inches of movement without having to advance technically turn 1. Yeah, that's pretty rad. I like that a lot. I think this is going to be a good one to have. And use it in particular situations, especially if you're going first and you just want to get all up in their grill turn 1. I think it'd be a lot of fun to be able to do that. Or you can use it even on like an Outrider squad, if you want to get them like all up in the front there and just really get them ready to just
shoot with the bolters and then charge into chaff and just really clear out those screens turn one. I think it'd be pretty rad to be able to do that. So I like this. I think this would be fun to use. Then we have targeting guidance for 2 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to a Ravenwing land speeder or Ravenwing storm speeder unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in a friendly Dark Angels unit makes a ranged attack against the selected enemy unit, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So +1 to hit against a unit if you really want to just like focus down an army, which is pretty awesome with the targeting. We then have Swift Strike for 2 CP or 3 CP. Use the stratagem in the fight phase after a Ravenwing unit from your army has fought. If that unit is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fall back as if it were the movement phase. Otherwise, it can make a normal move as if it were the movement phase. If that unit contains 5 or fewer models, stratagem costs 2 CP. Otherwise, it costs 3 CP. So again, it allows you to charge in like with your Black Knights, smack them up with the Corvus Hammers, and then back out of combat before they get to swing at you, because it's right after they've attacked. So you just get to boop, boop, and not put them in any danger even if you're charging in, which is awesome. So I like that one a lot. I think that's going to get some use. It's 2 CP and 3 CP. I mean, it's expensive, but I could see it being super, super useful and effective. But again, I think they've changed it now where they're a bit expensive on the CP to use. But the fact now that you don't have to spend the CP to take a Ravenwing Outrider detachment, if that's all you're going to run, helps them a lot, because now they're going to have those extra CP to use for these. Then we've got Secret Agenda for 1 CP. Use this stratagem after selecting secondary objectives or agendas. Do not reveal one of your selections to your opponent. The first time you score victory points or experience points for it, reveal it to your opponent. Note that you must still have a record of your selection. We recommend writing it down and concealing it until revealed. You can only use this stratagem once. So it allows you to hide one of your secondary objectives, which is, I think, super, super awesome. It'll keep your opponent from being able to, you can get a sneaky one in there and just operate, especially one of the ones that says like score at the end of the game or something like that, because you wouldn't have to show it at all. I know technically we usually keep score as we go on, but but a lot of those are at the end of the game if you've accomplished or done something. So you wouldn't have to show them until the end of the game which one you chose, which is pretty rad. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's the same thing like when you used to be able to do it with the objective cards, where you could hide the objective cards until you scored them. Same kind of idea, because we've got that secret agenda, the sneaky Dark Angels. Then we have Stasis Shell. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a Ravenwing model from your army shoots with an Astartes grenade launcher. That model can only make 1 attack with the weapon this phase. If it hits a score, the target is caught in stasis until the start of your next turn, and the attack sequence ends. While a unit, excluding vehicles or monster units, is caught in stasis, it cannot fall back. So you can try to keep a unit locked in combat, which is pretty rad. Run up there with your Deathwing Knights, shoot into a chaff shield with the stasis grenade and pop it, and all of a sudden now that unit is going to be stuck in combat. So you can charge in with your Deathwing, lock them in combat, know that they're going to be there next turn because they can't fall back, which protects your Deathwing from being shot at, and then you could just clear them up in your opponent's fight phase. So pretty cool stuff. And then this is the friend that we've been missing that is back again. Weapons from the Dark Age. 2 CP. So it's 2 CP now. It used to be 1 CP, but now it's 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase. When a Dark Angels unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the damage characteristic of plasma weapons. See Codex Space Marines. Models in that unit are equipped with. So Weapons of the Dark Age is back. But you may have noticed that the one thing that is missing, that I certainly noticed was missing, was Combined Assault. So no longer getting to deep strike 6 inches away from our enemies. I think they buffed Deathwing enough that it makes sense, I guess, for it to happen. But it's still RIP. I used to use that all the time with my Deathwing Knights. 6 inches away and boom, just charge them in. But so now we'll have the 9 inches away. We'll have to make that 9-inch roll, that 9-inch charge. But I don't know. I think they got buffed enough that we don't have to. I don't think it's too scary. But yeah, it would have been nice if it was here, but it's not. So we just move on. So I think that's the way it's been in all of them. They add a lot of cool stuff, and then they also reduce a lot of the things that would then be even more OP. with the changes. So yeah, goodbye Combined Assault, but welcome back Weapons of the Dark Age. Glad to have you. So let's go over the Warlord traits that we have here. So we have Brilliant Strategist. So instead of getting back CP now, in your command phase, you can select one friendly Dark Angels unit within 6 inches of this Warlord. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, if the Tactical Doctrine is active for your army, then the Devastator Doctrine is considered to be active in the attack instead. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, if the Assault Doctrine is active for your army, then the Tactical Doctrine is considered to be active for the attack instead. So it allows you to just like fall back one of the doctrines essentially each turn for one unit that you have there, which is pretty cool. I like it a lot. I mean, the ability to alter what doctrine you're in is super effective and super helpful. So it's good to see that happening. Then we have Fury of the Lion, which is an aura. While a friendly Dark Angels unit is within 6 inches of the Warlord of this Warlord, if this Warlord has made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, add 1 to the strength characteristic of models in that unit. So +1 strength to all Dark Angels units, not Dark Angels Core, Dark Angels units within 6 inches of the Warlord, which is pretty cool. You've got Calibanite Knight. Each time this Warlord makes a melee attack against an infantry or biker unit, an unmodified wound roll of 2+ is always successful. Ooh-wee! That is spicy. I know it's not against monsters, I know it's not against vehicles, but you could just run on in there with that guy and just wounding on 2s, which is rad. Especially now that if you just put in like some kind of reroll wound. So if you've got him, if he's a Deathwing Warlord there, and it's the Assault Doctrine, he's re-rolling those wounds, so wounding on 2s, re-rolling. Oh man, I like that one a lot. I think there's a lot of really good uses for that. It's not really a buffing one, it's more of like if you want to just create a beat stick to run on up the board, but there's a lot of opportunities I think for that for us as Dark Angels players with the way that they've worked it out here with Deathwing and such. Even with the Ravenwing, I think there's some good uses for that. Then you have Stubborn Tenacity. When this Warlord is destroyed, if it does not explode, you can use the Warlord trait instead of using any other abilities that take effect as a result of the Warlord being destroyed, e.g. Astartes Banner. If you do, this Warlord is not removed from play until the start of the next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. Until this happens, it is still considered to be in play, but any further wounds this Warlord would lose are not lost. So just have your if your opponent manages to try to snipe them out of the way when they're trying to make a charge in, now they're still going to be there. They're still stuck there, giving off their aura to their to your fellows around them. They're also able to fight back in the fight phase, even if you kill them before they get the ability to go and fight. It's pretty cool. I like it. I mean, it's very obviously very situational. Like your Warlord has to die, which is not great for it to kick in. But if it does, it's a real it's fun to keep them there. So Stubborn Tenacity, it's a fun one. That's a really cool, really original one. I like that one a lot. Then you have Decisive Tactician. While a friendly Dark Angels core unit is within 6 inches of this Warlord, add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for that unit. Ooh, +1 to advance and charge is pretty nice. Ask Blood Angels about that. But yeah, I like that one a lot. I think that's pretty cool. Just running up the board with them and helping them advance and charge. Pretty cool. Either even as your regular Warlord or as a added Warlord trait to give someone to go along with it, which is fun. Then you have Honor of the First Legion. This Warlord is eligible to perform heroic interventions within 6 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of an enemy unit. On each time this Warlord makes heroic intervention, as long as it ends that move closer to the closest enemy model, it can move up to 6 inches. Other rules for heroic interventions still apply. So basically, 6-inch heroic intervention for the unit, which is for the Warlord, which is grad. You can also choose if you have Ravenwing Warlord or a Deathwing Warlord, one of 2 other special ones for them. So you have, for the Ravenwing, you have lightning fast reactions. Each time an attack is made against the Warlord, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll, which is awesome. I like that one a lot. And then you have Master of Maneuver. This Warlord is eligible to either shoot or charge in a turn in which it fell back. Pretty rad, especially if you put that onto like a like a Talon Master or something like that. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Then you have the Deathwing Warlord traits here. First one is Watched. Once per battle in your opponent's psychic phase, this Warlord can attempt to resist one additional psychic power, even if it is not a Psyker, and even if it is not within 24 inches of the enemy model manifesting that psychic power. When taking the Deny the Wish test, do not roll the dice. It is automatically passed. Ooh, once per battle, you can just straight up say, no thanks, you're not getting that. You don't have to be within 24. You don't have to be within 24. You don't have to roll for it. It's just goodbye, not happening. So it's like the opposite of the one that the is it Magnus has, where you can just auto pass one of his tests. You know, you spend the CP. This one's just a one-time use Warlord trait, but I like that a lot. Just be like, nope, it's not happening. So Magnus is like, all right, well, I'm gonna super pop on my whatever it is, like the super invul, and you're like, nope, not happening. And just like boom, and then you got an entire turn to try to kill him off before he gets it back on or something like that. Then you have Inexorable. Each time an attack is allocated to this Warlord, subtract 1 from the attack's damage characteristic to a minimum of 1. So -1 damage, which is basically like disgustingly resilient now, which can be super effective, especially on some of these characters who have a bunch of wounds. It's going to take a lot of attacks to get them down. And the named characters have all of it. So we've got Asmodai has to have Fury of the Lion. Azrael has to have Brilliant Strategist. Belial, Inexorable. Ezekiel has Stubborn Tenacity. And Lazarus has Brilliant Strategist. And Samael, Master of Maneuver. So, yeah, those are cool. I like them. Honestly, I like all of the Warlord traits. And I can see situations when I would use all of them. There's some of them that I would probably be more inclined to use as a secondary Warlord trait. So one that I pop onto, spend the CP to give to a different character, or maybe one that I give in addition to a main Warlord trait, based, with that CP, the stratagem that we've got now. So, but yeah, there's some fun ones that you could really use and make a real beat stick, which is fun, which is cool. Then let's go about our Psychers here, the Interromancy discipline. So one you have is Mindworm. It's a malediction. Mindworm has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of this Psyker. That unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and until the start of your next psychic phase in the fight, until the start of your next psychic phase in the fight phase, that unit is not eligible to fight until all other eligible units from your army have done so. So it's basically like the Judicaire ability, except a psychic power that can reach out 18 inches. So you have this Psyker walking up, and he's just like, "Oh, well, you've got that arm, those really nasty looking, I don't know, whatever, the Space Wolf, the cavalry." So the man, why can't I remember their name? Whatever it is. So you've got Death Guard Terminators. We'll do something that I can remember. The Dark Shroud Terminators. Death Shroud Terminators. They're going to be making the charge next turn, or you're going to be charging into them. So you pop that ability on them. They take 1 mortal wound, which is whatever. But now that unit can't be chosen to attack, so they can't interrupt you. They can't attack. They're going to be the last ones to attack, which is rad. And you can't interrupt because they're not eligible to be. They're not eligible to fight. So it's not that they fight last. It's that they are not eligible to be activated in the fight phase. Until everyone else has been activated. So you can't do the interrupt. That's what they have with the special rules. So I like that one a lot. I think that's a good one. You now have Aversion here, which is a malediction. As a warp charge value of 6, if manifests, select one enemy unit within 24 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, while that unit is within 6 inches of this Psyker, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of models in that unit. Notice it does not say to a minimum of 1. So if he's up there and that unit only has 1 attack, boom, you pop this, and now they've got 0 attacks. It does not say to a minimum of 1. It might get changed. They might put it in there in a FAQ or something. But as of right now, it does not say to a minimum of 1. So they've got the attacks there, -1 to their attacks characteristic. And each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the attack's hit rolls. So -1 to hit for that unit, and -1 from their attacks. That's awesome, especially if you've got it on like a Psyker, like maybe a Terminator, a Psyker, a Librarian in Terminator armor, who's going up on the front there with a bunch of Terminators. I think that could be super fun to create a beat stick with that, especially with something like the Warlord traits you pop on them too. You could really make a librarian, just a beat stick librarian, which I think would be fun. Then we've got Righteous Repugnance. It's a blessing, has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one friendly Dark Angels unit within 12 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next Psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. Woo! That's spicy. I like that one a lot. Rerolling attack and wound is a lot of fun and a lot of good stuff. I think they've really boosted the Dark Angel's ability in close combat. I mean, I think that they're making an effort to make close combat super effective in 9th edition, which I like a lot. I think they've gotten it now to the point here where close combat is as effective as shooting. I know against certain armies are maybe not so. Like I don't think Tau close combat is as effective as, say, Blood Angels close combat. But what I'm saying is that I think a Blood Angels army is now as effective, if it's combat focused, as a Tau army is at shooting. I think that the changes that they've made and the balances that they've done with it, so the way they've changed, fallback, the way they've changed a lot of the different things, I think they've made it so that close combat is an effective option now, which is cool. So then going in here, we've got Trephination, which is a Witchfire. Trephination is a warp charge value of 5. If manifested, the closest enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to the Psyker suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the result of the psychic test is greater than the leadership characteristic of the enemy unit, that enemy unit suffers 3 mortal wounds instead. So essentially, it's like another smite that you can use there. So it's doing D3 mortal wounds unless you get higher than their leadership, in which case you're doing 3 mortal wounds. So you don't get the ability to do D6, but you can get a guaranteed 3, which is pretty rad. And it's against the leadership, so even if you're going up against like guardsmen on a 7, you're going to be doing it, or you can get it on a 9 as opposed to an 11 to get the better stuff there. So I like that. I think it's pretty cool. I think there's the other ones here seem better options to me, but I can see it being cool if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for like just a mortal wound spewing librarian up there, you can just cast Smite and this Trephination at the same time and just pop off 2d3 mortal wounds on 5s, which is pretty rad. So then you've got Engulfing Fear here, which is a malediction. Engulfing Fear is a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 24 inches of the Psyker until the start of your next Psychic phase. Until the start of your next Psychic phase, subtract 1 from leadership characteristic of models in that unit. That unit cannot use the objective secured ability or any similar ability to allow them to control an objective marker regardless of the number of enemy models within range of an objective marker, and if the result of the psychic test was equal to or greater than that unit's leadership characteristic, that unit cannot perform actions, and if it is currently performing an action, it immediately fails. Oof, that is a good one. Engulfing Fear, I think, is going to be a really good one. I think you're going to see it be very popular because you get to use that one to really control how the battle goes and really control how things happen. So if the enemy just pumped on, say, Plague Marines just popped onto an objective, those guys are going to be hard to remove out of there. But now you charge them with your intercessors after popping Engulfing Fear, and they're no longer objective secured. So they're no longer objective secured, but your intercessors are. So even if you just have one intercessor that survives that, he's going to hold that objective, and you take it back and you take it away from them, which is awesome. I think it's really, really rad. I think that's a super, super powerful ability, and I think you're going to see it used a lot with the way that the game goes now, with the way that you have to play to the objectives, you have to play to the mission. This is a super effective way to help you more effectively play to the mission. So I think that's going to be pretty effective. And then you've got Mind Wipe here. It's a malediction. Mind Wipe has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of this Psyker. Then select one aura ability that unit has until the start of your next psychic phase. That unit loses that aura ability. So now all of a sudden that chapter master over there, boop, no longer given the ability to reroll all hits. Or there's a lieutenant out there, no longer rerolling ones to wound. Or you have, you take away Mortarian's aura canceling ability. So now he's no longer canceling the aura of your guys, and you get the benefit of it in combat, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I like that one a lot too. I think that's going to be super effective. I think there's a lot of really good powers here for Interromancy. They've changed a fair amount from what they used to be, but I like the way they've changed them. I think they're going to be super fun to use going forward for the Dark Angels. Let's go over our relics now here. So you can't give them to vehicles unless otherwise stated. So your Talon Master is going to be left with certain ones that he can take and not take. But let's go over them. So you got their Mace of Redemption. I think they showed this already. It replaces the Crozius Arcanum or a Power Maul with Strength ×2, AP -3, 2 damage. So you're basically got a power. It turns the mace into a power fist, which is awesome. And then each time an attack is made with this weapon against a fallen or Heretic Astartes unit, an unmodified wound roll of a 4+ inflicts 2 mortal wounds on the target, and the attack sequence ends. So it just does 2 mortal wounds instead of 2 damage for the wound rolls of 4+ against Heretic Astartes. That's rad. That's rad. I like that a lot. I think it's going to be super fun to see them being able to be used like that. I think that's a really rad relic to have to go into combat and just start smashing face, creating, what was it, the Smash Interrogator Chaplain, I think people were talking about. I think that's going to be a fun one to use. And the fact that it's now not just the Fallen, that it's the Fallen or Heretic Astartes, is, I like it. I like it a lot. It also makes you wonder what they're going to do with the Fallen, because I guess the current Codex has the Fallen as Heretic Astartes. Maybe they're still going to be in the Heretic Astartes, the Chaos Space Marine Codex, but not have the Heretic Astartes keyword? Or are they going to make it be something entirely separate? That's entirely me just like spouting off the top of my head. I have zero further information other than that. So take it as you will, but a man can hope, can't one? Then you have Pennant of Remembrance, Deathwing Ancient model only. In your command phase, select one Deathwing Infantry Corps unit from your army within 6 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in that unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of the attack to a minimum of 1. That's rad. I like that a lot. I think that's going to be fun. I think, three wound Terminators are now -1 damage to them, is going to be super effective. I think that's going to be a good one to have there. Then you have Shroud of Heroes. Each time an attack is made against this bearer, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So as it used to be, I used to take that all the time. It's a fun one to have, especially as a secondary one to pop onto a character. I like it a lot. Then you have the Reliquary of the Repentant, Ravenwing Biker model only. While enemy unit is within 3 inches of the bearer, each time an invulnerable saving throw is made for a model in that unit that has an invulnerable save of 4+ or better, the saving throw is only successful on an unmodified roll of 5+. So it drops invul saves from 4+, 3+, 2+ down to 5+. So that's going to be that would be effective against like custodes and stuff like that. The fact that it doesn't, it used to, the one they used to have that used to do that, it used to take away the invul save entirely, which was nice. But this one now, it just drops it to a 5+. So I guess it was a balancing out of what they had there. So your high AP is still going to drop it down to just a 5, but still rad. Especially for a lot of the Adeptus Custodes right now who can still get their 3-up invul saves. Bumping that down to 5-up makes a big difference when you're trying to kill some of those guys. Then you have the Foe Smiter, which is a model equipped with Stormbolter only. The relic replaces Stormbolter in the following profile. It's Assault 4, Strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. So pretty rad. You can pop off 8 damage from a Stormbolter, put that onto like an Interrogator Chaplain in Terminator armor with the Stormbolter there. You pop that on and boom, 2 damage per pop for AP -1. It's basically like a Stormbolt. It turns the Stormbolter into the strength of a heavy bolter with assault 4 shots versus assault instead of heavy 3. So that's pretty rad. I like it a lot. Foe Smiter, that's a good one. Then you've got Eye of the Unseen here. The bearer gains the following ability: Fear Aura. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of models in that unit. And at the start of the fight phase, if an enemy character unit is within engagement range of the bearer,
That unit is not eligible to fight until all other eligible units from your army have done so. So they can't choose to attack with their character if you charge with... and a Ravenwing Talonmaster is eligible to be given this relic, even though it is a vehicle. So you charge in with the Talonmaster, and now all of a sudden the Eye of the Unseen makes that character that you charged unable to attack. Or you get attacked, or you get charged by a character, and now that character can't attack until the very end. He doesn't get to do it with the charge ability, which is pretty rad. Give you the ability to punch them up before they get to attack you. Then you have the Cup of Retribution. The Chaplain model only. Once per battle, the bearer can recite the Feast of Malediction litany instead of reciting a litany that is known that it knows. If it does, do not roll to see if the litany is inspiring. It is automatically inspiring. Feast of Malediction, while a friendly Dark Angel's core unit is within 6 inches of this priest, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in that unit. That's pretty rad. Popping that onto a Chaplain Terminator armor, dropping them down along with your Deathwing Knights, and they just going to get a 6-inch, a +1 attack, which is pretty... Oh, no, you can't drop them in. It would have to be the next turn, I guess, because they wouldn't be able to do it. Or I wonder if you could... Once per battle, the bearer can recite the Feast of Malediction litany instead of reciting a litany that it knows. So maybe you can use the stratagem... I mean, you could use the stratagem from the Space Marine Codex to allow them to recite a litany whenever they want, and use the Cup of Retribution on that one so that you can get the Feast of Malediction when they drop in if you want to. Yeah, because it's just when you recite a litany, and the other one says recite a litany if you haven't already. Yeah, I think you could do that. So you could do it. It works, but it just costs CP to do it. Otherwise, you can do it for free if they're, jumping out of a Land Raider or something like that. Then we got the special issue War Gear. There are a couple special ones for the Dark Angels here. We got Adamantine Mantle, which is the same. Artificer Armor is the same. Master Crafter Weapon, Digital Weapons, all the same. But Ravenwing Talonmaster is eligible to give in digital weapons if you want to. If you want to, you could do that. So you've got that there. So now the Talonmaster is able to take the Eye of the Unseen and digital weapons. Then you have Heavenfall Blade, which is a model with a Power Sword, Mastercrafter Power Sword, Relic Blade, or Executioner's Relic Blade. The relic replaces a power sword, turns it into strength +2, AP -4, 2 damage, and each time the bearer makes an attack, they can make one additional attack with this, and the Talonmaster is able to take that. So I love the Heavenfall Blade. I've always loved the Heavenfall Blade. +1 attack, AP -4, now 2 damage. It's pretty rad. I like it a lot. I think it's a good option to be able to give some people, and the Talonmaster can take it. Then you have the Arbiter's Gaze. Each time the bearer makes an attack, a hit roll of 2+ is always successful, including when firing Overwatch. Firing Overwatch, that's pretty rad. Irrespective of any modifiers or abilities that the target may have. Each time the bearer makes an attack, the target does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. And a Ravenwing Talonmaster is eligible to give in this relic. The Arbiter's Gaze, I think, is going to be on a lot of Talonmasters, because now all of a sudden you've got your... You've got your twin heavy bolters and your twin assault cannons firing Overwatch on 2+. Oof. I like that a lot. I like that one a lot. Arbiter's Gaze. I think you're going to see a lot of Talonmasters with that one, especially since you can. And then you've got Atonement, with model equipped with a plasma pistol only. The relic replaces it, and it becomes range 18, pistol 1, strength 9, AP -4, 3 damage. So pretty rad. I think it's a good one as an add-on. I think was Atonement one of the ones that you could give a sergeant. Atonement was one of the ones that you could give the sergeant. So now all of a sudden you can have a sergeant with that running up there, which is pretty rad. I like it. And then you have Bolts of Judgment. When you give a model this relic, select one bolt weapon that model is equipped with. Each time the bearer shoots with that weapon, you can choose for it to fire a Bolt of Judgment. If you do, you can only make one attack with that weapon, but that attack has an armor penetration characteristic of -2 and a damage characteristic of 3. When making that attack, unless the target is a vehicle or monster unit, a wound roll of a 2+ is always successful. A Ravenwing Talonmaster is eligible to be given the relic, even though it is a vehicle. So I guess if you want heavy bolter, they count as a bolter weapon, I guess. You can do that. I'm not sure I would waste that on a Talonmaster, but you can if you so desire. So pretty rad stuff. I like the relics. I like the relics that they've got going on here, which is pretty cool. Then you've got our chapter approved rules. These are the ones that you have for the match play, so you can choose these as secondaries, which is pretty awesome. So the first one you have here is the Purge the Enemy. It's a martial interdiction. If you select this objective, then after both sides have deployed, but before the first turn begins, your opponent must select one character model from their army. If their army does not contain any character models, then they must select their Warlord instead. Score victory points at the end of the battle as follows. Score 6 victory points if the selected enemy model was destroyed by a melee attack made by a Dark Angels model from your army. Score 3 additional victory points if the selected enemy model was destroyed by a melee attack made by an Inner Circle or Deathwing model from your army. And score 6 additional victory points if the Dark Angel model's unit that destroyed the selected enemy model has not itself been destroyed. So it's it scores 6 victory points if the selected enemy model was destroyed by a melee attack made by a Dark Angels model from your army. Which is pretty rad. So if they survive to the end, you get to score an additional 6. So you can score a maximum of 15 with it. So if they choose a character and your Deathwing Knights come in and kill them and survive to the end of the game, you score 15 points, which is pretty rad. I like that one. I like it a lot. It's sort of like the one that the Blood Angels have, but it's a bit more restrictive because it has to be killed in close combat to score any points. And you get additional points if specific units kill it and if they survive to the end. So once your opponent loses that character to that close combat unit, they're probably going to focus down to try to kill it real hard, which could be used as a distraction, but I mean, you're giving up 6 points at that point. That's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to take. I think it'd be fun, especially in certain situations, but and especially for, if you want to put a more narrative twist on a game that you're playing, I think it'd be fun. But it's going to be a tough one, especially for some matchups. If they just pop that on like Mortarion, that's tough. No Mercy, No Respite. Death on the Wind. Score 2 victory points each time an enemy unit is destroyed by an attack made by a Ravenwing model from your army that moved 12 inches or more during the movement phase of that turn, or made a charge move that turn. That's pretty rad. I like that one a lot, especially if you're running an all Ravenwing army. Now, every time you kill, each time you kill an enemy unit, you get 2 points as long as you move 12 inches before. And if your bikes aren't moving, I mean, you're probably in danger anyway. You're probably in trouble anyway. So I like that one a lot. And then you have Battlefield Supremacy. It's a progressive objective. That's endgame. Purge the Enemy is the martial interdiction was endgame progressive for this one. Ravenwing and progressive for Stubborn Defiance. In your first command phase, select one objective marker at the end of each of your command phases after the first. If you control the objective marker with a Dark Angels unit from your army that has the objective secured ability, score a number of victory points based on the consecutive number of your command phases that you have controlled the objective marker with that unit as follows. Consecutive number of your command phases, 2, you get 2 points. 3, you get 3 points. 4, you get 5 points, and then 5, you get 5 points. So if you have a objective secured unit on an objective turn 1 and they survive to the end of the game and continue to hold that, you can score a total of 15 points from having that. But you have to have the objective turn 1 you have to have that objective at your command phase turn 1 all the way through. So it's tough, but I think it would be good. Then you have, for example, the third command phase. If you have controlled an objective marker with a Dark Angels unit for 3 of your command phases consecutively, you will score 3 victory points that turn. So, number of victory points based on the consecutive number of command phases that you have controlled that objective marker with that unit. So it has to be the same unit. So you can have multiple units holding it and hope that one survives over it, but you can't have like one unit of intercessors, and then if they're killed and another intercessor unit goes on to that objective, that doesn't count. You have to have the same unit has to control it for consecutive turns there. Then we have the Crusade rules. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really I don't know Crusade. I can't really help you out with a lot of these Crusade rules, but they're in here and they're pretty rad. They've got a whole bunch of them too, which is great. A lot of agendas and honorifics. Hopefully, maybe I can get back and when I get back in, I can do some Crusade rules, but we'll see. So now we have the abilities now for everything here. So we've got the Inner Circle and the Jink abilities. So Inner Circle, if this unit has the Grim Resolve Chapter tactic,
or it has the inheritance of the Primarch Successor tactic, and it is using the chapter tactic of the Dark Angels, then each time a morale test is taken for this unit, it is automatically passed. So auto pass morale, which has always been the case for Inner Circle. Then whilst this unit is within engagement range of any enemy fallen units, unless that unit has the vehicle keyword, this unit cannot be selected to fall back. So you cannot fall back from the fallen, because you just want to punch their face real hard. So no falling back from fallen. Each time you select this unit to fall back, unless it has the vehicle, Ravenwing, or Chapter Master keywords, roll 2d6. If the result is less than or equal to the unit's leadership characteristic, it can fall back. Otherwise, it cannot fall back and must remain stationary instead. So you're stuck in combat if you roll too high. So if you charge in with your Deathwing, just know that you are going to be in combat until it finishes, unless you can roll on this. Or you can spend the CP on Intractable and then allow them to fall back. But otherwise, you have to roll the CP to see if you can fall back. And then each time an attack is made against this unit, if this unit has the infantry keyword, an unmodified wound roll of 1 through 3 always fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making the attack may have. So we still got the built-in transhuman, which is pretty rad for our Terminators and for all of our Deathwing infantry, which is cool. Then we have Jink. If this unit has the Grim Resolve chapter tactic, blah blah blah, if you're using them, then models in this unit have a 5+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks. In your movement phase, if this unit remains stationary, it loses this invulnerable save until the start of your next movement phase. So the reason it's worded that way, as opposed to if you move you get it, is that turn 1 you have this 5-up invul save, which is pretty rad. So you've got all of them have this 5-up invul save. But if you then decide to stay stationary, then you are in the movement phase. If you remain stationary, then you lose the invul save. And it's only against ranged attacks, again. And each time this unit advances until the start of your next turn, models in that unit have a 4+ invul save against ranged attacks. Which is awesome, especially like turn 1. If you've now got with the new ability for second company, you what is it? No, not second company. The Doctrine's one that we have there with the first turn for Ravenwing, for Devastator Doctrine for Ravenwing. If you got everyone advances up now, then they've all got a 4-up invul save against shooting. So it helps you even more for board control, because now you can advance up with all of those bikes, take the position on the board, and you have a 4-up invul save against shooting, so they can't just shoot you back from there, which is super rad. I like that a lot. And then you've got the weapons, the war gear and weapons list, and then the final secret. So talking on this one, take a look when you get it. It's pretty rad. I feel like it's basically talking about the fact that, that Luther was there for a long time, and the only people who knew about it were basically Azrael, or the chapter master, the Supreme Grand Master, and the Supreme Grand Master and the Watchers in the Dark. And then there's still one secret there, buried deepest in the bedrock of the rock, is that the Lionel Johnson is there slumbering, waiting to come back when he's needed. But he is fully healed. They say that he is fully healed, so he is ready to come back whenever GW decides to just pop out a model for him. So hopefully that's a sign that it's gonna happen. My Dark Angel heart will always yearn for it, and will always hope, and hope springs eternal for a Lion model in 40K. So we'll see if that's an indication that that's going to happen, but I feel like it's been hinted at for a long time and nothing's come, so we'll see. A lot of these things, a lot of this stuff has not really changed much at all. The one thing I did want to check out was, I forgot to do it before. Oh, the Deathwing Strike Master. So essentially what the Strike Master is a... It says it's a lieutenant, so it's got the keyword lieutenant. So it's basically a Deathwing lieutenant, but its tactical precision ability allows you to reroll a wound roll of 1. So it's basically just a Deathwing lieutenant. So now you have the Talon Master, which is the Ravenwing lieutenant, and you have the Deathwing Strike Master, who is the Deathwing lieutenant. So and you've got the basically it just shows them as a as the model for the Sergeant from the Terminator Squad, which they've got there. So his base is just Power Fist Stormbolter, and you can give it a Storm Shield. You can model Stormbolter and Power Fist can be replaced with 2 Lightning Claws. Model Stormbolter can be replaced with one of the following: 1 Mastercrafted Power Sword, 1 Thunderhammer, 1 Mace of Absolution. So you can give a Mace of Absolution. Ooh, that's cool. That's fun. I didn't see that one at first. And a model's Power Fist can be replaced with one of the following: 1 Stormbolter, maximum of 1 per model, and 1 Chain Fist, and 1 Storm Shield. So you can basically use a Deathwing Knight as a Deathwing Strike Master, which is pretty rad. So make a fancy Deathwing Knight. I like that. I like that a lot. So I think that'd be a good one. It is worth noting that we did not get any special litanies in this one. So the only special litany we have is the one that comes with a cup that can only be used once per game. Otherwise, they just have litanies from the Litanies of Battle, which is in the Codex Space Marines. So you've got that one there. And I think that's there. Oh, the other thing I wanted to check was everything else is pretty much the same. I don't think anything else has changed a whole lot here. So you can, any number of models can replace their Power Fists and Power Swords, or Power Sword replaced with 2 Lightning Claws, 1 Thunderhammer, and 1 Storm Shield. So you can change everyone. Deathwing Terminator squads can now all be popped in, giving them all Lightning Claws and Thunderhammer Storm Shields. Any number of models can have their Power Fist replaced with 1 Chain Fist. For every 5 models in this unit contains 1 Deathwing Terminator Stormbolter can be replaced with one of the following: 1 Assault Cannon, 1 Heavy Flamer, 1 Plasma Cannon, 1 Stormbolter, and 1 Cyclone Missile Launcher. This unit can be equipped with 1 Watcher in the Dark. So again, I guess you can get your Thunderhammer Storm Shield and your you can get so we're back to being able to have the Cyclone Missile Launcher and the Thunderhammer Storm Shield, because the way they have it here is for every 5 models you can replace the Stormbolter with a Stormbolter and a Cyclone Missile Launcher, and then you can replace this Stormbolter and Power Fist with Thunderhammer Storm Shield. So it's back. So I knew that was a worry that people had where you couldn't run them because of the fact that the Thunderhammer Storm Shield, I don't think it worked. You could, but now you can. So that's pretty neat to have that back there. But these, so these guys, the Deathwing Terminator squad do not have access to the Terminator, the beacon, the homing beacon that the ones from the regular Codex do have. So that would limit, I guess, some of the weapons options you can give them, but you can still at least have the Homer. And they do get the Deathwing rule, which is pretty cool. So you just have to make sure that you can't mix and match them with that ability. So that's good to make in. The Deathwing Knights, I wanted to check out the Flail of the Unforgiven. Strength +2, AP -3, 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, excess damage it inflicts is not lost. Instead, keep allocating excess damage to other models in the target unit until either all of the excess damage has been allocated or that target unit is destroyed. So they do flow over, keep flowing over, because I know they changed it with the Flail of Corruption. They changed it a bit. So, but now on this one, they allow the damage to flow over from the Flail of the Unforgiven. That was something I wanted to check out. But everything else seems to be pretty standard. Nothing else has really changed on any of these, I don't think. You just got the regular stuff, all the fun bits that it takes to be a Dark Angels, and you've got all of their things. And I don't think the points have changed much at all. So, boom! Codex Dark Angels, baby. I am so excited to have these guys. I'm a little bummed that I can't play with them right now, but when I get these on the table, watch out. Here we come. But I'm super happy with this. As a Dark Angel player, I'm super happy with this. I'm going to have to try to figure out what I'm going to do about getting my Deathwing Knights into combat, because I really, really liked using the Combined Assault ability, and that's no longer there. But other than that, I'm super happy. I'm glad Weapons of the Dark Age is back. I'm glad they've given a lot of the abilities there. They've given the ability for Jink and for the Inner Circle to all of the units that should have it from the base Codex. So it'll be good to see it all. Seeing it all come together is pretty exciting, and I'm happy to see it all coming together. So I'm very happy with this. I think that almost all Dark Angels people should be happy with this. This is a little fun thing. So they have all of the codexes have like this little bit of here, and they've redacted it for the Dark Angels, which I think is pretty funny. But yes, as a Dark Angel fan, I am very happy to see this. I'm very happy to see what they've done with them, and I think they've represented the First Legion very well, and I'm excited to see how it goes forward. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.